Hare Krishna, can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the first chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. So today we are very fortunate to have a very special guest speaker, His Grace Prem Gaurang Prabhu. I had spoken to all of you about him yesterday. I had just mentioned about him. Uh, Prem Gaurang Prabhu is a very, very special person in my life, I can tell you. Uh, you know, he has practically, we have so much discussed about the importance of association of Vaishnavas, that how it is not possible to progress on the path of bhakti without proper Vaishnava association. For me, honestly, in my life, uh, he has been a person, he is the first person whom I think of when I'm in trouble. Of course, I don't think about him only when I'm in trouble. Um, we do have very soul searching conversations many times on other topics also. But in my life, honestly, he is one person whom I immediately think of when I'm in trouble. I go and fall at his feet. That's it. And he tells something, and it has always worked out for me. So, very, very special devotee. We have spoken so much about, one should try to understand. Oftentimes, we have discussed about mm, this problem of devotees oftentimes in a spiritual organization thinking that because it is a spiritual organization, anyone who is higher up on the institutional ladder would automatically be up in the spiritual ladder also. This is an it's a common misconception. Not necessarily, it may be true also. And it is reasonable for the devotees to think that way because it is a spiritual organization. Why would a spiritual organization elevate someone, give them post position if they are not spiritually qualified? Which is reasonable. In many cases, it may be reasonable. But he is one Chuparustam. He is a devotee from Chaupati temple, very senior devotee, but still many devotees in the Chaupati congregation do not know him. He's not a very famous person, as you might know, but uh, very, very rooted in spiritual practices, very pragmatic, very bold, um, and very good friend. I mean, he's very senior to me, but still he considers and deals with me like I am his equal and friend. I feel very fortunate. And the most important thing, um, you know, in Vedic cosmology, till now, the whole of ISKCON thinks actually you cannot develop anything, you cannot come up with any mathematical calculations and present a mathematical model based on whatever details are presented in Srimad Bhagavatam about the Vedic cosmology. But he is one person in the whole of ISKCON, as much as I know, who truly believes, and he has shown it through his own calculations, that it is mathematically possible to explain, the various things that are happening, uh, the things that are happening in this world, the movement of the sun, the eclipses, and so many different things. It is possible to actually predict based on whatever is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So he's a lone warrior. And I mean, there are certain things which may be confidential and I don't wish to reveal it. It is my honest belief that, for the TOVP, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, the most reasonable calculations and everything, there is no calculations anyone has done for, presenting the Vedic Planetarium, no mathematical calculations except for His Grace Prem Gaurang Prabhu. Still, no one knows it. No one knows it. And he may bash me for publicly talking about it. He may criticize me, I don't know. But still, for how long you can cover the sun. So, anyways, I don't wish to take much of his time. I feel very fortunate to have him in my life. And today we will try to discuss from, of course, we will definitely invite him whenever cosmology comes, but please do not think that cosmology is his specialty. It is no doubt his specialty, but he is uh, he has great attachment for Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He is a lover of Gaur Leela and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. If he starts speaking about it, he can lose himself. And um, and also his attachment to the holy name and his trust in Krishna. Krishna protects. I honestly speaking, I did not have that kind of a faith. But he is one person through his actions. Krishna protects. Yes, Krishna is protecting. Krishna is protecting. You know, that I have learned from him. I am still learning. I have not learned completely. But uh, very honored. Prabhuji, everyone wants to see you. I will switch on your video. Just give me some time. I will just give a prelude to what we have been discussing. And then you can please take over, and everyone wants to see you. So we'll switch on your video. And so we have been discussing from um the activities of Priyavrat Maharaj, this particular chapter. Here, we will not have our regular recap of the chapter. We will not have that today. I will directly go to the section where Priyavrat Maharaj has been, um, you know, his rule has been described. And in the 30th and the 31st verses, we have had discussions about his, uh, yeah, he's creating the seven oceans and the seven islands by going around on his brilliant chariot. So I will read the translation and purport of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then we will let Prem Gaurang Prabhu speak, and I'll just okay, yeah. So it says Priyavrat reigned while the sun going around Meru lit up half the surface of the earth while the other half was dark. Attaining superhuman power by worship of the Lord, Priyavrat, discontent with this condition, thinking that he would make the night into day by his brilliant chariot, which traveled at the speed of the sun, becoming like a second sun, followed the movement of the sun 7 times. Okay, so this is what the verse says. In the commentary, uh, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, this verse describes his influence. Priyavrat reigned at the time when the sun would shine, lighting up half the earth up to Loka Loka mountain as daytime as it rotates around Meru while covering half the surface of the earth with darkness which experienced night. By his worship of the Lord, he surpassed all humans in influence. So, discontent with half the earth's surface being covered by darkness, he followed the movement of the sun so that when the sun set, he would light up that area. He followed the sun not to compete with the sun, but to give happiness to the inhabitants of earth. Because of this arrangement, also in months like Jeshta, hot months, the sun made by Priyavrat was cooler than the moon, and in cool months like Margashirsha, that is the cold months, the sun made by Priyavrat was warmer than the other sun at dawn and dusk. So, footnote by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj, he says, this seems to indicate that though the days were longer in summer, it was not excessively hot, and though the days became shorter in winter, the days were not excessively cold. Probably this means that the nights were not excessively cold. This means that by the power of yoga of sages like Saubari, Priyavrat had two bodies. Because yesterday we discussed this. If he is just going around the sun on his chariot, then who is going to take care of the administration? And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti clarifies that actually he had expanded into two forms like Sobari Muni by the power of his yoga. And the one form administered while the other went around the uh, mm, went around the earth following the sun. So then the 31st verse it is mentioned, the troughs created by the wheels of his chariot produced seven oceans from which seven continents were formed. The movement of the purport, the movement of the wheel of his chariot produced troughs which became seven oceans. This means that he had seven chariots, each with one wheel by the power of his yoga. Their movement was higher than the sun's and they circled around the plane of the earth. So their movement was higher than the sun's. Uh, Jiva Goswami says in the Sandarbha that one should understand that the chariots were successively larger and larger in size since the outer circles were larger and larger. Some say that he made larger and larger chariots in succession, each one twice the size of the previous one, traveling higher and higher so that the inhabitants of his city in Aryavarta could see his chariot even at a great distance. Because the wheels of each chariot were broader than the previous ones, the oceans were successively broader. He rode in each of these seven chariots for 25 days and 45 and a half gatikas each, totaling half a year, starting with the summer equinox, with the sun gradually descending until Pausha month. Then again, starting from the winter equinox, he would travel until the cycle was completed with the same number of days fixed, but with the opposite order of chariots, with the sun gradually ascending until the Ashad month. As the sun traveled around Meru clockwise along with the dependent zodiac, it gradually increased in speed. And thus, the days after the summer equinox become shorter each month, and from the winter equinox, the sun gradually slowed down and the days become longer. In order to decrease the night, Priyavrat by his own will circled Meru, but slowing down his chariot increased the length of the days after the winter equinox, and then decreased the length of the days according to his will by the speeding up of his chariot. Footnote by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. Um, he says that this would apply. Okay, just give me 1 second. It has crossed 100 and I forgot to post the link in the YouTube link in the group. I'm very sorry. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry. So this would apply relative to Aryavarta. It would gradually speed up during each rotation when it came to Aryavarta and slow down in the opposite area behind Meru. The accelerated section and the decelerated section would gradually shift around Meru during the year. By the power of yoga, his chariots were visible or invisible according to the time. So, footnote by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. Um, it appears from this description that before the time of Priyavrata, the days and nights were equal. but by his will made the length of the days and nights change throughout the year. The 7 times in the previous verse means that he traveled in 7 chariots in the manner described above. There is no contradiction, since it is not proper to say that Priyavrat stopped pursuing the sun after only 7 days, and some say he did not give up this activity. Because of these 7 oceans, 7 continents formed. And then what were these continents? So basically, these two verses, and we were discussing yesterday that uh, that we had these questions, unanswered questions. What exactly is Priyavrat Maharaj doing? What is happening? And another point that came up was that, is he interfering with Krishna's plan and arrangement? Why is he trying to change? Isn't this what um, isn't this what Hiranyakashipu tried to do? He tried to interfere with the plan of the Lord. Now, why is Priyavrat Maharaj doing it? So the point is he interfering with Krishna's plan, or is he a part of Krishna's plan? Right? Were the chariots driven simultaneously or separately by Priyavrat Maharaj? So this was another question. Is this is the maintenance of temperature and seasons as we see it right now, is it actually a collaborative effort of the sun and Priyavrat Maharaj even today? Okay. How was the topography of Bhumandala before Priyavrat Maharaj divided it into 7 oceans and 7 islands? All these questions. So we would like to hear from you, Prem Gaurang Prabhu. I am going to request you to switch on your video if everyone wants to have your darshan. So I'll just, where is Prem Gaurang Prabhu? Yes. I'm going to first make you into a co-host, and then request you to switch on your video also. So you can unmute yourself and you can switch on your video also, Prabhuji, if you don't mind.
Hare Krishna, Balaram Shakti Prabhu, I'm audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Pranam Prabhu.
No problem.
So don't take Balaram Shakti Prabhu too seriously. He's just generous and glorifying devotees. That's his nature. The only way he forgets his troubles coming to me is I always pose him with a greater trouble. Any case, since he has requested me to speak on this topic, I'll make a small endeavor. Om Ajnanathibirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamascha. Shri Rupam Sa Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamascha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gautushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So I'll just share my screen and just have a brief introduction of what exactly is being talked about. Is the screen visible? Balram
Yes,
Shakti Prabhu?
Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
Prabhu. Yes.
So basically, I should thank Balram Shakti Prabhu because he has been one of the instigators for me to take up this study of Bhagavad cosmology. That is when we were first actually going through the Bhakti Vaibhav course, I think in 2013 or so. And when we came to the fifth canto, we had a lot of discussion amongst the devotees, which actually, in one sense, inspired me that someone should take this up seriously. I never knew that I will take it up. But somehow Prabhupada pulled by his mercy, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD in this topic along with Pavneshwar Prabhu. So we both work on this and are formally part of providing academic inputs for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. So we'll just start with the invocation verse from Prabodhanand Saraswati, where he is glorifying Srimati Radharani and her qualities, comparing with the seven oceans of the Bhumandala. वैदग्ध्य सिंधु अनुराग रसिक सिंधु वात्सल्य सिंधु अति सांद्र कृपैक सिंधु लावण्य सिंधु अमृत छवि रूप सिंधु श्री राधिका स्फुरत में हृदय केली सिंधु. May Sri Radhika, who's an ocean of intelligence, like the clear sweet water, a nectar ocean of love, like the ocean of curd, an ocean of kind, tender affection, like the ocean of milk, an ocean of great condensed mercy, like that of the ocean of ghee, an ocean of beauty, like that of the ocean of liquor, an ocean of nectarian radiance and form, like the ocean of sugarcane, and an ocean of transcendental pastimes, like the salt water, manifest within my heart. Of course, we have very nice commentaries on this, but we are not dealing on this today. Uh, my honest endeavor for actually going deeper in this aspect was, besides its ramifications for scientific outreach that Prabhupada wanted, is to better appreciate the Bhagavad Purana's easy but eloquent and precise rendition of the astronomical observations, Shukdev Goswami's ingenious rendition of this theme, how these shastras actually are an open secret, Srila Prabhupada's commentary, the importance of the synonyms, translation, and the purports that he actually has taken so much trouble to present to all of us, to share with all of us. The commentaries of various acharyas and the appreciation of Mahaprabhu's various pastimes that actually you can have reading these commentaries just on this one topic, the fifth canto. Now, this topic actually is not something new or not something that specifically, was brought out by Prabhupada in one sense. Prabhupada definitely wanted his devotees to elaborate on this uh, in a way that will be appreciated by the academic or scientific community. In fact, some of his devotees tell that at one point Prabhupada wanted to redo his fifth canto because he was not very satisfied with it. But in one sense, as you go through Prabhupada's purpose and commentaries, it just brings out his humility in even thinking about that he wanted to redo, because the way he has done it is really amazing. And one thing that you can really appreciate is when he says that Krishna has dictated these purports to me. It really comes out so much in this fifth canto commentaries. But this is a topic that has been dwelt with uh, and is popularly known as the Bhagavad Jyotishyo Khagol Bhugol Virod Parihar. That is the reconciliation of the apparent contradictions that exist between the rendition of cosmology in the Bhagavad and in the Siddhanta Shastras. Jyotish basically means the Siddhanta Shastra. So Jyotish has two parts. One is Ganit Jyotish and one is Phalit Jyotish. So properly what people know is Phalit Jyotish, that is astrology. But Ganit Jyotish is dealt with in the Siddhanta Shastras. Surya Siddhant being one of the prominent Siddhanta Shastras among the 18 that are most popular, which deal with this aspect of cosmology. So the apparent contradictions that exist, a reconciliation of them vis-a-vis the Bhagavat and the Jyotish in the aspects focusing the celestial and the terrestrial spheres. That is what actually this means. And it is a study that is there within the tradition for more than 13 years, 1300 years, as far as the documentation is concerned. It may be even before that, but what is documented and is extant and available to us is at least a research of 1300 years on this. So it's not a new topic that has been dealt with in great detail, but it's a topic which is well known within the tradition and has been dwelt in various ways. Um, Popularly, what is known as the standard accommodation model, which maintains all the features of the astronomer's model, that is the Siddhanta Shastra, that are necessary for supporting their calculations, but then reject those parts of the Puranic model that contradict them. But at the same time, they seek to accommodate the cosmology to Puranic doctrines where they do not seemingly interfere with the astronomical calculations. Or differential assignment of interpretive domains, where both of them actually serve as complementary modes of cognition within a non-Cartesian epistemic framework, that is in terms of Darshan Shastra. And then we have Ganana Shastra, so where Puranic uh, cosmology actually comes under Darshan, and Ganan is the Siddhantic aspect, each having its own Pramana scope, or combining several of these theoretical approaches. But what came into you know forefront, at least for whatever research that we have been doing, is that though mathematics has been used, it's not that mathematics has not been used for reconciling these aspects, because mathematics becomes a common language both for Smriti Shastra and Siddhantic Shastra, both except mathematics. So it becomes a common language and a very powerful tool to reconcile these aspects. At the same time, mathematics becomes also a very powerful tool to deal with observational aspects, which the Siddhanta Shastras focus on and which even modern science tries to bring about or highlight. But in that sense, mathematics has not been used to that extent, especially considering the fact that the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with so many numericals in such great detail. And the acharyas actually bring them out in a greater detail. So considering these aspects, it was a bit surprising that over 1300 years, Puranic cosmology has not received the kind of mathematical exposition or treatment that it actually deserves. Most of the reconciliation on the mathematical part has been done by the Siddhantic astronomers who have a background of Puranas, but they did not give the same treatment to the mathematical aspects that have been presented in the Purana, especially the Bhagavad Purana. So considering these aspects, we are actually pursuing the same problem, that is Bhagavad Jyotishos Khagol Bhugol Virod Pariyar, but with the emphasis on mathematics as a common language to resolve these apparent contradictions. So these points that I have dealt with here, just a minute, I think. So now the point is to accept Jyotish Shastras and reject Puranic cosmology, as some Indian astronomers have done, is to start down the path of modern scientific materialism, which then ultimately leads to the total rejection of the Vedic literature. But then to reject the astronomical Siddhantas as anti-Vedic means to lose the Vedic tradition of rigorous mathematical astronomy. And this is actually a bit dangerous because it plays into the hands of the modern Western scholars who wish to reject the Vedas and Puranas as mythological, and who interpret the astronomical Siddhantas as products of Greek's scientific genius that were borrowed and falsely dressed in Hindu garb by dishonest Brahmins. This is one of the generally accepted uh, thought process in the academia even currently. That whatever calculations are given in the Siddhanta Shastras, which at least academically date back to 14th century AD, were probably borrowed from Greek sources and then later dressed up as products of the uh, uh, Brahminical tradition. So this is one allegation that is prominent in the academia, and they have their reasons for that, though not very valid and not very strong, but definitely popular and more accepted. So in that sense, this problem that Prabhupada actually presents to us uh, tries to solve many multifarious pinching academic allegations on the Vedic tradition and the Puranic tradition. Now, even in the Indian tradition, as is well known, the Advaitans basically do not accept the Smriti Shastras as Shabda Praman, as what the Vaishnav Sampradayas will do. And even in current scenario in the academia, it is quite prominently dominated by the Advaitan school. So in such a scenario, to actually bring out the Puran as one of the Shastras that scientifically presents cosmology is definitely a challenge, but an interesting challenge because it helps you dwell deeper into the Bhagavat itself and the commentaries of the Acharyas, specifically what Srila Prabhupada renders in his purports. So I will just try to touch the topic here since you're on the first chapter of the fifth canto. Just to make sure, I hope I'm audible and the screen is visible.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So I just highlight these points in a greater detail in the next slides, but I will not dwell here. But these are the prominent commentaries that I refer to. And honestly speaking, the first calculations that I made were entirely based on what Prabhupada actually gives. The acharyas I refer to is to just elaborate some details. But in one sense, they are not needed for calculations. But what they really do is highlight the rich contributions these acharyas make. At the same time, highlight how Prabhupada actually assimilates all of them. In a very, very eloquent way, actually. So the commentaries of the acharyas, in one sense, form the background of what Prabhupada is trying to highlight. And in that sense, it brings out more effectively the type of rendition that Prabhupada has done to the Bhaktivedanta purports. So these are the 12 prominent acharyas that I refer in actually bringing out these aspects. We have more than 200 commentaries available on the Bhagavad itself. And out of which 35 are prominent. And the book that Srila Prabhupada referred to actually had these commentaries. So I'm just holding on to that book by Krishna Deva Shastri, the compilation of the commentaries of various acharyas. So now you all know that Priyavrat Maharaj has been detailed in these two verses 30 and 31. He starts following the sun. This was the first clue that we took because Priyavrat Maharaj is following the sun. It is only possible if he knows the orbit of the sun. If you do not know the orbit of the sun, it's not in any way going to work. So Priyavrat Maharaj actually following the sun gives a clear indication that the orbit of the sun, the various orbital parameters were well known to him, without which he cannot be successful. just like we know that some of the countries are trying to build a second moon. So it is nothing new. It's what Priyavat Maharaj is doing a step ahead. He's actually made a second sun. So only if the orbit of the sun is known to him can he actually follow. So the Bhagavad actually gives the first indication that what is going to enter into his quite detailed mathematical astronomy uh, in the coming chapters, which actually begin from chapter number 16. But the first hint is actually provided in this first chapter, where we have Priyavrat Maharaj following the sun so that there can be light even in the night time. So that is what he is actually trying to do. And in doing so, he builds 7 chariots, each successively larger than the first one, and each being used for a period of 25 days plus 45 and a half ghatikas. Now, this is very interesting because to really understand Bhagavad cosmology, you have to know how space and time are defined, the nature of space and time. And this has been dealt with in great detail across the Bhagavatam, specifically the 11th chapter of the 3rd canto, which deals with this, starting with the Pramanu and going on to define the various divisions of time. It is there that Srila Prabhupada actually defines Ghatika as one of the measurable aspects which can be
Prabhuji is
confirmed.
speaking. Okay.
Yeah, as a measurable aspect which can be empirically verified. But the interesting fact is in the 5th canto itself, the 21st chapter, Prabhupada in the 4th verse defines Ghatika as half an hour. And then in the 10th verse, he writes half an hour, and then in the bracket writes actually 24 minutes. But very interesting because in the 4th verse, he writes half an hour, and 10th verse, he writes half an hour, and then in the brackets writes actually 24 minutes. But then does not correct that in the 4th verse as 24 minutes. So Prabhupada is actually using 2 values for the Ghatika. One is 30 minutes and one is 24 minutes. And this was one of the things that actually struck me. And before, actually reading what Sadaput Prabhu has done, and he's done quite a lot on this very topic, we worked on it independently so that we don't get influenced by the thought process that he was carrying. So after we had worked on this, and then we started reading what Sadaput Prabhu had done, he was quite close. But one thing that he really missed is where Prabhupada is using these 2 values for the Ghatika, 24 minutes and 30 minutes. So what he actually approximated was that 30 minutes or half an hour was an approximation that Prabhupada was using for 24 minutes. But Prabhupada was definitely not doing that, because he did not correct 24 minutes where he used 24 minutes as half an hour, or rather correct half an hour as 24 minutes where he used Ghatika as half an hour. He actually has been using these 2 values differently at different places. Now, this is his, in one sense, his very precise contribution. So the Acharyas actually define the Ghatika in both ways, but not very easy to get through the commentary. And one thing that I highlighted was that one can really appreciate different pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also through this. And one can ask, how is that? So we have the storyline of, Vallabh Bhatt approaching Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and saying that he has written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. And at some places he writes differing from what Sridhar Swami has said. And Mahaprabhu immediately shows his displeasure at what Vallabh Bhatt is saying. And he says, one who does not accept a Swami is actually a prostitute, in one sense, chastising Vallabh Bhatt for making certain audacious remark. But at the same time, Prabhupada says that it was in a playful way. And this aspect you can really appreciate when you are going through the commentaries. Because Vallabhacharya does uh, very obviously and differ with what Sridhar Swami has to say. Interestingly, all the acharyas very strictly follow what Sridhar Swami is saying. In fact, Vanshidhar Das or Vanshidhar Prabhu, we can call, is one of the acharyas of the 18th century who writes Bhavartha Prakash Deepika. So he's actually elaborating on his commentary on the Bhagavatam is nothing but the elaboration of the commentary of Sridhar Swami on the Bhagavatam itself. So most of the acharyas very strictly follow what Sridhar Swami has to say. Interestingly, Vallabhacharya differs. But because he differs, he actually throws one more, spotlight on how the verses can be read. And his contribution becomes invaluable in that sense, because it gives an academic input in the parampara. So though Vallabhacharya does differ from Sridhar Swami, his commentaries do add value in terms of secondary explanations. So what Sridhar Swami definitely is highlighting is primary explanations of how the verses can be read and understood. What Vallabhacharya actually does is also gives secondary interpretations to how the verses can be understood. And in that way, he actually adds contribution to how the Bhagavatam or its verses can be understood in different ways. So moving ahead on this, what Privat Maharaj is doing is actually following the sun so that it can be daylight throughout. So in the summer, when it's or in the winter when it's cold, the sun, the second sun, that is he himself riding on the chariot, acts as the second sun. Even in night time, gives heat and light, and in that way, he actually is making the temperature warmer. In the summer, he during the night time he provides light, but then it's cooler than the moon also. And in that sense, he actually makes the atmosphere a bit more pleasant. So he's balancing both. Now, how that is possible is a bit complicated thing. I won't go into the details, but just to give you an idea of what exactly is happening. So this is what he's actually doing. These are the 7 islands that have been described in these verses and will be dealt in greater detail in the chapters that will follow, especially starting from the 16th chapter of the 5th canto. And the movement of the sun actually will be dealt in greater detail in the 21st chapter. So now it describes that he rides on chariots with one wheel. Vishwanath Chakri Thakur actually clarifies that there are 7 different chariots, each successively larger. That is what even Jeev Goswami elaborates. But the translation that actually Balram Shakti Prabhu was referring to, I think is taken it from Bhanu Maharaj.
Yeah,
is slightly erroneous in its description of from equinox to Paush, and then from that is winter equinox to or summer equinox to Paush, and then winter equinox to Ashad. Actually, the translation reads from Uttarayan and from Dakshinayan. It's not from equinox. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So I'll share the translation later. But it is basically from Uttarayan to Paush, that is in one sense Makara. So we also have to understand how months are calculated. Now, what the Bhagavatam is doing is actually using multiple systems. Just as even in current astronomy, we had different coordinate systems, and we also have different systems for actually measuring the movements of the sun and the moon. Primarily, they are known as the sidereal and the tropical systems. And then we have the ecliptic coordinate system, we have the horizontal coordinate system, and we have the equatorial coordinate system. So there are different systems to actually calculate the motions of the sun, and they are interchangeable. Using some formulas, they can be interchanged, but they have their certain specific utilities. But what Shukdev Goswami is doing, because it's not an astronomical text for sure, he's just trying to highlight the grandeur and the complexity of this material world, indirectly glorifying the Lord. He's not being very specific, or he's not making a pause and saying, oh, this is the coordinate system I'm going to use. Now I'm switching to this coordinate system. Because it is an astronomical thing, which will be dealt by the astronomers in greater details, is assumed that they know just by the rendition that he's making at what system he's actually trying to highlight. Also, it can mean that for readers who are well versed with how the Shastras deal with this topic, it was common knowledge, either ways. But he definitely does not pause to say that he's switching the system. It's very seamless, and it is implied when he's actually quoting something. Now, this is an academic challenge, because traditionally or academically, that is an academic tradition, it is not accepted that the tropical system was one system that the Indians were actually using. They were basically trying to use a sidereal system. Just to give you an idea what it means, is tropical system is basically based on the vernal equinox. So the vernal equinox is taken as point zero, and then the rashis are made, or the categories or divisions of the zodiac belt, that is 360 degrees, are made. So if you are taking the vernal equinox as the zero reference, based on that, you are dividing the zodiac into 30 degrees of 12 divisions, then it's known as a tropical system. But if you take the 0 degree as a nakshatra, and from there on divide it into 30 degrees category, with each division having 2 parts of a nakshatra, of the nakshatras, then it's known as the sidereal system. So in the sidereal system, the nakshatras actually define the division of the zodiac belt. That is how you're supposed to observe the sky. In the tropical system, you use the vernal equinox as the defining point. And because the vernal equinox tends to shift over a period of time, according to Indian tradition, it oscillates 27 degrees from the mean position. And according to the modern scientist, it actually supposed to precess along the 360-degree zodiac belt. Of course, it's very difficult to verify because it happens over a very large period of time. It's just a shift of about 52 minutes in a year. So it's like a degree for 72. It takes about 72 years for a degree shift in the vernal equinox. So actually, to even make a 27-degree shift and then see if it's oscillating back is a lot of time. So it's not very easily to empirically verify these aspects. But in any case, even to accept that they have been using a tropical system does not very easily come out in the texts. But definitely the Bhagavatam is using that. And that is one thing that actually raises eyebrows for many academicians, that the Bhagavatam actually is using these type of systems. And they're very implicit in the verses itself and the commentaries of the Acharyas also. So what Priyavat Maharaj is doing is using a chariot with one wheel, which is how even the sun's chariot has been described. That it is an axle with uh, one end mounted on the Mount Meru and the other end actually with a wheel traversing the Manasuttar mountain, which you can see here. So if I use the pointer options, so this is the Manasuttar mountain uh, on which the wheel of the Ratha or the chariot of the sun is supposed to traverse. So mind you, it's not the sun actually. It's the wheel of the sun or the chariot of the sun, the wheel of the chariot of the sun that actually traverses the Manasuttar. The Rathanita has been described in the 21st chapter as the space which is occupied by the sun itself, and that is different from the location or the space that is occupied by the chariot. So it is in a similar way that Priyavat Maharaj actually builds 7 chariots. They follow the sun, uh, like about 90 degrees. So in the sense, if the sun is going to set at one point, it'll or rather 180 degrees. If it's going to set at one point, it's going to rise at another point. So as soon as the actual sun is setting, Priyavat Maharaj's sun starts rising at that same location. So it's always there. So that is how he's actually working at 180 degrees apart from the actual sun. He's following the path of the sun in the clockwise direction. Uh, so in that sense, it's always day at any given point. But how does he do that? He does not actually do that by building one chariot. That is what Brahmaji has done by building one chariot for the existing sun. And now the chariot, in one sense, even if you take in terms of an allegory, uh, it does make sense mathematically also. Because if you think that the chariot of the sun is an allegory so that it can describe the movement of the sun in terms of its velocity and its positioning vis-a-vis the Bhupandal, it perfectly works well. Now, I did study what the modern academicians actually tell of how they understand Puranic cosmology and Siddhantic cosmology. At the same time, I have studied some manuscripts uh, which were commissioned as late as the 18th century by Savai Jai Singh, who actually also built the Jantar Mantar at Jaipur and many other places. And he had one astronomer in his court who was known as Keval Ram. So he also dealt with this. But it is interesting that it's obvious that he is trying to defend the Puranic version of what it's trying to tell in terms of even uh, computational aspect. But then these astronomers, do not, in one sense, read the Puranas the way that the Acharyas read. So for them, the description of the different islands uh, and the inhabitants staying on them is nothing more than giving poetic value. So I think even if they're taking in that way, they do a bit of injustice because the Bhumandal, even if you take it as an allegory or symbolic, does add more than poetic value. It actually defines what we can call is a cylindrical coordinate system. So, in one sense, I think I may have not put it here, but any case, it does in one sense define a cylindrical coordinate system and helps locate objects in the celestial sky using this coordinate system. Of course, it is not just an allegory, but it does give a mathematical input. And definitely, it's more than just poetry. But you can see it has not been easy for the astronomers, even in the Indian tradition itself, to readily accept what the Puranic cosmology is talking about. So it's not just a challenge that has come up in today's modern scientific world. It is a problem that has been dealt within the tradition itself for many, many years. But if you see how Prabhupada's commentaries add to it and how the acharyas are actually dealing with it, it is really fascinating. So, yes, he does build 7 chariots, uh, just as the chariot of the sun, but definitely not just one chariot. And it is the wheels of this chariot that actually, when he traverses the Bhumandala, cause these oceans and these dweepas to be formed. Uh, Before that, the Bhumandala was just one flat plane. It's nearly flat, though it's not exactly flat, but it's nearly flat for all practical purposes. Now, how did the denizens adjust to that? None of the acharyas explain, and I also have no answer for that. But he does definitely, uh, cause these deepas to be formed. So the deepas do not exist before this. So it's just when Priya Maharaj is actually following the sun to have this continuous daylight, is that these dweepas are actually formed. So, of course, they can be mathematically interpreted in many different ways. But what they definitely do highlight is that the orbital parameters of the sun were definitely known to Priyavat Maharaj at that time. And the Bhagavad definitely is going to deal with that in a greater detail in the coming chapters. At the same time, as Balram Shakti Prabhu read from Vishwanath Chaudhary Thakur's commentary, it says that each chariot he used for 25 days, 45 and a half ghatikas. And then he used it in a reverse way. So at one time, he was going from the inner island to the external islands. And then for another 180 days, he was moving in the reverse. That means from the external islands to the inner islands, corresponding to the Uttarayan and the Dakshinayan movement of the sun. Now, if you see, if he's saying 25 and a half or 25 days, 45 ghatikas, 45 and a half ghatikas. So if there are 7 chariots, that roughly translates to 180 days. So 180 days plus 180 is 360 days. And we know that a year actually is made of 365 days from the tropical reckoning. Now, in the Indian tradition, uh, the years are based on various aspects, and accordingly are the months. So we have Saur Mas, that is solar month, when the sun actually transits from one Rashi, that is the zodiac sign, as we know, Mesh, Tula, and etc. From one Rashi, when it transits, it's a solar month. Then there is Chandramas, which is based on the Amant and Purnimanta reckoning. So it's basically cyanotic. So it's like a lunar solar aspect or lunisolar definition. Then we have a Savan Mas, that is a civil day reckoning, where each day is calculated from one sunrise to the next sunrise. So we have 30 days like this. So what is being referred to here by Vishwanath Charit Thakur is actually the civil reckoning, that is the Savan Mas. And then we have the fourth, that is the Nakshatra Mas, that is a lunar sidereal, where when the moon actually completes the nakshatras, that is the 27 nakshatras, that 1 month is formed. So these are the different reckonings of how the months and years are taken in the Vedic tradition. So it is so when these are being mentioned, one is supposed to be proficient to understand what actually is being referred to and what it implies, because each aspect is used for a definite purpose. So this is just a bit of a mapping, just to give an idea. So if you see that the Bhagavatam actually uses Chaitra, Vaishak, Jyeshtha, Ashad, Shravan, Bhadrapad, Ashwin, Kartik, Margashis, Paush, Magh, and Falgun, these type of reckonings, which is known as the lunisolar month. At the same time, it also uses Madhu, Madhav, Shukra, Shuchi, Nabas, Nabasya, Isha, Urja, Saha, Sahasya, Tapas, and Tapasya. So it is using both these types of months. Now it also maps, and the acharyas also map these to each other. Now, why these two sets of months are used is a matter of academic exploration. I will not make a definite comment on this, but they definitely do use. And they relate it also to the different Saura Rashis. So, the mapping is done here just to give you an idea that this is how the different months are actually used even in the Bhagavatam itself. So the Rashis are used, the lunar solar months are used, and also what is known as the Vedic Rutu month or tropical month, though not all academicians will agree to the use of the word tropical, but definitely they do agree to the use of Vedic or Ritu months. So Madhu Madhav are taken as months defined by seasons. But many take it as an indication of tropical because seasons are defined by tropical reckoning. Because if depending on where the vernal equinox is situated, the seasons are decided. The seasons are not decided by the lunisolar month. But though the lunisolar month can be mapped to the tropical months uh, because the concept of Adhik Mas is used where they nearly correlate to each other. So that is why when Vishwanath Chaitanya Thakur is actually mentioning 25 days, 45 and a half Khatikas, is actually referring to civil months or the civil reckoning. So I'm not dealing with this aspect because this will come in the 21st chapter. But just to give an idea, this is what is happening. Now, this is a very observable phenomenon for any person where he can see that the sun for half a time moves in the northern direction, that is north of east, and for half the time moves in the southern direction, that is south of the true east. So it is only during equinox that the sun is exactly rising from the east or setting exactly in the west. So that is twice a year, which is known as the vernal equinox and the winter equinox. So we have the summer equinox and the winter equinox. And then we have the Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. So now how that is defined is also a matter of discussion because you will see that it comes in the story of Bhishma Dev that Bhishma Dev departs after he sees that the sun has taken to the northern part or has started the movement in the Uttarayan direction. So, of course, the acharyas give a explanation of that, that Uttarayan means also means referring to Krishna because he is the one who has resided in the garb of Uttara. So in that sense, it also refers to Krishna. But if you see, Bhishma Dev passes on Bhishma Ashtami. And the day preceding Bhishma Ashtami is known as Ratha Saptami. So technically, Ratha Saptami is a day when the chariot wheel of the sun takes to the northern direction. So the sun per se takes to the northern motion or the northern course prior to the chariot wheel taking. So what Bhishma Dev actually is doing is waiting for the chariot wheel to take to the northern course. And that is how the Ratha Saptami is defined. So immediately after Ratha Saptami, that is on the Ashtami day, Bhishma Dev then gives up his life. So this is what is actually happening. If we see the sun, this is the Bhumandala, the round line. The sun actually makes a clockwise movement every day and is rising. So it's in technically also moving towards Dhruva. In that sense, also it's taking the northern course. So it's not only something visible at the horizon, but also it's taking the northern course towards Dhruva from Bhumandal. In that sense, also it is the northern course. And then for the rest of the 180 degrees, it actually takes the southern course. That is, it follows down. This is how the side view and the top views will be for the Bhumandal cross section, where the sun will actually move northwards. At the same time, it will make apogee and perigee with the earth, because it comes closer to earth when it's making a northward movement, and it goes a bit farther from the earth when it's making a southward movement, the difference being very minimal. So that is how the heat of the sun in one sense increases during summer and reduces during winter. And Priyat Maharaj, what he's doing is exactly opposite. So he's following the sun, but then you know the movements are a bit opposite, so that it's cooler in the day during summer, and it becomes a bit warmer in winter. So this is in short uh, of what is supposed to come. I'm not sure if uh, what was achieved, but because Balram Shakti Prabhu requested, so just to give you a brief overview of what the Bhagavad is saying. But the Bhagavad actually, in doing this, provides a very precise and empirical, verifiable description of astronomical phenomena. What it's doing is using definitely a geocentric framework, and not just a symbolic, allegorical and religious description. So, in terms of harmonizing apparent differences between the Puranas and the Siddhantas, so the Bhumandal definitely is a uh, uh, flat mandala, but at the same time, it is also depicting Earth as a sphere. Actually, it depicts Earth as a sphere in a very interesting way, because in describing the motions of the sun, it gives different speeds of the sun. And these different speeds are nothing but taken from a particular location of the spherical Earth. And in doing so, it actually also defines the location and the uh, the ecliptic latitude of the sun, and also prime meridian. It also then defines the cause of day and night. That is what actually one of the things that Srila Prabhupada wanted. And then it also defines 37 planetary parameters, which of course I'm not dealing with in great detail now. It will be done in the future. But just to give you an idea of what it deals with is this table. It deals with the perihelion, aphelion, the difference between the two, the apparent axial tilt of the Earth. Because it's apparent for us because it's a geocentric framework. The angle of the ecliptic, the eccentricity of the Sun Earth orbit, the width of the zodiac belt, the declination of the north pole of rotation for the Sun, the diameter of the Earth, declination of the pole star, and the ecliptic being bisected by the celestial equator. So, thank you very much. This was just a brief idea, and I am sure you have a lot of questions. So, I think we have 15 or 20 minutes, and we can take whatever questions you all may have. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
We can go a little bit over time today, and if there are more questions, if you have time, you could come tomorrow also. Uh, if that is okay with you, if you are free time, if you are free tomorrow, you can come tomorrow also.
I'm
But
not
now we will. Yeah,
I'm
go
not
ahead, bro.
sure what purpose will be served, because if I have to go to any greater detail, I can only do that on the strength of the chapters that start from chapter number 16 to 24.
16. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
for now, Prabhu, yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Um, Today we may go a little bit over time. Radha Prabhu, kindly, I apologize because today is a special session. So first I wish to thank you very much, Prabhu, for taking out your time. And one thing is, for most of us, it was a very humbling session, because lot of it, at least for myself, was for me, my basic cosmological understanding, even according to the modern understanding, is very poor. I have to admit. But Prabhuji, one thing, few things I had mentioned in the beginning only. Before there are other devotees who have raised their hands. Before that, I'll quickly ask, um, what exactly is actually. We had this discussion yesterday. Is Priyavrat Maharaj actually interfering with the arrangement of Krishna, or is he a part of Krishna's arrangement itself for the for maintaining the seasons and the temperature and everything? I mean, we intuitively know the answer, but we would like to hear from you about
No, I
this.
mean, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and even G. Goswami Pad both clarify that aspect that he's just for the pleasure of the denizens, whom he was ruling. That is basically the whole Bhumandal. Just for their pleasure, he wants that it should be daylight throughout, and the weather should be more pleasant. So it is just for their pleasure that actually Priyavat Maharaj undertakes this huge task, definitely according to the plan of the Lord, not as a matter of competition. This is what Vishwanath Chakri Thakur also
Yeah.
emphasizes. It's not for the matter of competition. It is just for the pleasure of denizens that he uses his siddhis, for their pleasure. So that's very clear from all the commentaries of the acharyas and
But
intuitively
another,
also.
yeah, and another thing, Guruji, is it that what Prevat Maharaj is doing, in my understanding, is that as what in the footnote also, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj had mentioned, prior to Prevat Maharaj doing this, the days and nights were equal. And if you see, even in describing Brahmaji's day and night also, it's always a calculation of 12 hours, 12 hours, equal nights and days generally. So it looks like, from what I understand, what Priyavrat Maharaj is doing is only contributing to the unequal days and nights across various seasons, rather than all the 24 hours being day, as you might see in like the North Pole or something like that. So yeah, is it that he is just contributing to or complementing the sun in extending the days during the summer and shortening the days during the winter, rather than actually completely complementing the sun, so that the the Bhumandala gets sunlight throughout the day and there is absolutely no night? Is it like that? How do you understand this, Prabhu?
Uh, yes, if you read the commentaries, uh, definitely it is that he is following the part of the sun, and the days and nights are unequal in the sense that the Uttarayan and Dakshinan have been clearly defined. So if there is Uttarayan and Dakshinan, that means the sun is not rising to the proper east on all days. So definitely the days and nights are unequal. It is very obvious.
Yeah.
So what the footnote that Bhanu Maharaj, I do not know from where exact. I think I'm not sure if it's his footnote or it is Vishwanath Chaitanya Thakur's footnote. But probably what he's trying to say is that af before that, days and nights did exist, but after Privat Maharaj, it was day throughout. There was no concept of night because it was always lighted, and that is what Priyavat Maharaj was looking for. He was not happy with the concept of night time being there. He wanted that the day should be throughout. That was the whole idea. So definitely, he's just following the part of the sun, and Uttarayan and Dakshinayana did exist before.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, the
So
commentaries itself mentioned that he was not happy that there should be night time.
yeah, it says that. Uh, did you read the other versions, other translations of the commentary, Prabhu? Is it exactly the same? Is it that he was not happy with? Was it that he was not happy with nighttime at all? That he wanted day all the time. So, in which case, uh, Is it still like that, or is Priyavrat Maharaj still is Priyavrat Maharaj's chariot still going on, or is it uh, is was it only for a while when he was
No,
reigning?
definitely, because the concept of the chariot was to have the sun, and Maharaj himself had expanded himself as the second sun. So definitely that the whole scenario only existed till he was there.
Oh, till he
So
was there.
yeah, so as soon as he renounces and hands over these different islands to his sons, uh, the work is done. So there is no second son actually moving.
Oh, now there is no second son.
No, no.
Okay, 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 okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. That is again made very clear in the commentaries of the Acharyas that he leaves. So, and the sun basically is nothing but Priyavrat Maharaj himself on the chariot. So
Mhm,
he is the one who is actually radiating that type of heat, and he is the one who is actually controlling the speed of the chariots according to his will. This again
mhm,
is specified in the commentaries of the Acharyas.
mm. So, Guruji, another one small thing, and then I'll let others also speak. Actually, there are some questions in chat box. You can take that also later, bro. One thing is that the Puranic cosmology not being sufficiently researched, is it because of their own self-proclaimed purpose that primarily it is a bhakti literature and not exactly a cosmological literature? Uh, uh, and you can see the percentage of contents also, just like from a very materialistic example, if I have to give, uh, even though if someone goes to like a food chain, like let's say, I mean, we don't go, but the outside world, let's say if they go to McDonald's, uh, you know, they are Pizza Hut or something like that. They may go to Pizza Hut primarily to eat pizza, even though Pizza Hut may have some ice creams also. But no one says that, we are going to Pizza Hut to eat ice cream. I mean, even though they may do it, but the prime purpose may not be, generally people go there only for eating pizzas and not ice creams. So is it that for because of the Puranas, their own self-proclamation, at least Bhagavad Purana for that matter, is a self-proclaimed preacher of pure devotional service, and the cosmology's presence is just another kind of, you can say, a tool to uh, describe pure devotional service only. Therefore, they have not taken, therefore, it is probably their sort of intuition that that why would a literature which is dedicated to preach pure devotional service go into great details and be very, very precise in its presentation of numbers and a description of the cosmology of this universe? Just like it is but natural that when one goes to those places which are exclusively for ice creams, you would naturally expect there will be many, many flavors. But you go to a pizza shop which also provides ice cream as a side menu, it might be natural for them to believe that, okay, there will not be sufficient flavors and other varieties there. So I'm just trying to understand, why is it that, for you said like something like 1300 years or something like that, that there has not been sufficient uh, emphasis or research on the Puranas. What could be the reason, bro?
Yeah, 1300 years basically is a documented timeline on where there has been a, uh perceivable attempt to reconcile the differences between what the Puranas and the Siddhanta Shastras are saying. So
Uh-huh.
Siddhanta Shastras mainly deal with the observable universe, and their emphasis is more computational
Mhm.
uh, to calculate the eclipses and various tithis and the position of the planets in the celestial sphere.
Mhm.
Uh, so yes, your analogy is nice. though I have no option of pizza and ice creams here. But the fact is that uh, many things actually add to it. Definitely, the first aspect is the the Puranic literatures. The emphasis is different, uh, and especially the Bhagavad Puran. The emphasis is definitely Bhakti and Bhagwan and Bhakta. But the also it's the matter of presentation. Now, if you see the Siddhanta Shastras are very mathematical even in their presentation, very precise and very computational. The Bhagavad, contrary to that, maintains its narrative in a storyline, even in such complicated matters as in describing cosmology. It is maintaining the same narrative using a storyline. That, again, in one sense, tends to discredit that it's a mathematical representation. Now, the why the Bhagavad is doing that is definitely is obvious because it's trying to reach a wider audience, and the type of mathematics or computational aspect that the Siddhanta Shastra deals with is for a very specific audience. It cannot be appreciated by a wider audience, and the Bhagavad overcomes that barrier by using a storyline and avoiding going into too many computational details. But it does not compromise with the observable astronomy in any way. What it is doing is in fact, it's blending both. It's blending observable astronomy along with aspects which are not accessed by our material senses. In fact, in this passage itself, Vishwanath Thakur writes, he divides, after the division is made by the chariots, and various rivers and mountains are used as natural divisions to bifurcate these different dvipas among themselves in such a way that the denizens of each dvipa cannot access, they are mutually inaccessible. So the dvipas become mutually inaccessible. And Priyavrat Maharaj does this so that each one has his own space and they do not interfere with each other's space. So,
Sorry to interrupt you, Prabhu, but could that be one of the reasons why some of the Siddhantic scholars of the Siddhantic texts, they may not necessarily have, they may have extraordinary mathematical knowledge of observable phenomenons. They can
yes,
observe and calculate, but
yes,
because they may not have the qualification to access the other dvipas, and
yes,
they may not have the spiritual qualification and faith. So probably that's the reason, because of the natural inaccessibility of the other dvipas and the other portions of Bhumandala. That's probably one of the reasons that they may discredit the Puranic texts or claim them to be allegorical like that.
yes, that is for sure. And that is why one of our emphasis is to show, see, because what is not accessible to the senses, you can't really argue about.
Mm.
So our emphasis is to show that the Bhagavad does definitely bring about observational parameters, and it does that using Bhumandal as a reference plane.
Mhm.
So indirectly, in one sense, you also uh, prove the existence of the Bhumandala.
Mhm.
At the same time, also show that the Bhagavad is dealing with observational parameters also. But
Mhm.
it also deals with parameters which are not easily accessible to the senses.
Mm.
So that is how the
Nice.
approach is.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much. We have few other questions also. Let us please take. Prabhuji, you have time?
Yes, another 10 minutes.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, I have to then actually.
Okay. Radha Pramod, bro, please go ahead, bro.
Hare Hare Krishna, bro. Please accept my humble obeisances.
No, no, no,
Bro,
no
it was
problem.
very humbling.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was, I was relishing the retreat that you had arranged for Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj. So I was just hearing the lectures. So thank you for that.
Bro, this is too too much to digest in one go, whatever you have spoken. Actually, many things are there. I think I'll have hundreds of questions once I start listening. But I was just means one request to like if like we know solar calendar and lunar calendar. So this is the terms which we are using. So if you can explain them in these terms, then it is easy because the whatever words you have used, we are not accustomed to it, so it was becoming little difficult to comprehend. Means if if you can define the terms, then it becomes more easy for us to comprehend. Means the definition of the terms which you have used, most of them we were not knowing. At least I myself, I don't know.
No, I did use both actually. So Chandramas basically is nothing but lunar month according to the synodic aspect. That means from full moon to full moon or from new moon to new moon. So that is known as Chandramas or lunar month.
Yeah.
It is because it is synodic, it is defined, technically it is a lunisolar month because the synodic period of the moon depends upon the sun's position also, right?
Okay.
Uh, but when you just use lunar month in terms of nakshatra, then it is known as nakshatra mas. That means the time that the moon takes to traverse all the nakshatras. That is approximately 27 days and 27 one-third days. For the synodic or the chandramas, it is approximately 30 days or 29.5. The solar month is basically when the sun crosses a Rashi. So when it crosses a Rashi, then the month changes. So that is known as Sauramas. And civil month is nothing but a combination of 30 days from one sunrise to another sunrise. That is known as Savan month or civil days. So I took this aspect because Vishwanath Charit Thakur actually, when saying 25 days and 45 and a half Gatikas, is referring to a Savan month. That is why I actually brought this topic around.
Oh, so that means there are four different types of calculation. Like solar month is like two
Yes.
types. One is
Hmm.
when it passes through the nakshatras, and another is the waxing and waning. So it's like
Yes, that
two
is
types of
Chandramas. Yeah, two chai. So
chandrama.
that is why to differentiate, one is known as Chandramas and one is known as Nakshatramas. But
Okay,
both
and
are
for the
so the Chandramas is based on solar aspect, and the Nakshatramas is based on the Chandra or the moon.
okay, why it is lunisolar? Because sun's reflection is there on the moon.
Yeah, because the full moon is dependent upon the position of the sun. Na?
Okay, that's why.
Because
And
by the
then
time the moon moves a certain distance, the sun has also moved a certain distance.
okay,
That is why the full moon and or the new moon actually does not occur to according to nakshatramas. So though the moon may sidereally move around complete 360 degrees on the zodiac belt, but the full moon will take a bit more time because the sun also has moved by that time in the anti-clockwise
mm,
direction. So that is why it is
yeah,
known as lunisolar because the Chandra mass is dependent not only on the Chandra but also on the Surya. And the
yeah.
Nakshatra mass is dependent on the Chandra.
And the movement of sun, it is calculated based on movement of sun through the rashis,
Yes, now the Rashi is defined in two ways. Either
because
a
it's a
tropical,
constellation of stars only.
no, that's
Nakshatra.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That the Rashis are defined in two ways. One is by defining by making the division of the zodiac belt, that is 360 degrees, by defining the 0 degree as one nakshatra. That means you take
Okay,
one
okay,
nakshatra as 0 degrees and then you divide into 30 degrees.
okay.
Okay. Otherwise, the second way of doing this is known as a sidereal demarcation. The tropical demarcation is done by taking 0 degrees as being defined by the vernal equinox. So when the summer equinox occurs, whenever it occurs, that is defined as 0 degrees of the zodiac belt. And then taking 12 divisions of 30 degrees each from that point, when you define, it is known as Rashi. So Mesh Rashi starts from 0 degree vernal equinox. So then if you take it like this, then it's a tropical system. If you take Mesh Rashi based on nakshatra, then it becomes a sidereal system.
Okay,
So
okay.
there are, so there are two systems that are used even in defining the zodiac. That is why you have different months. You have Chaitra Vaishak also, and you have Madhu Madhav also. Now Madhu Madhav, because they are defined according to seasons. So if you will see,
Yeah,
the spring season will not exactly, come in Chaitra Vaishak. There will always be a certain deviation, because Chaitra and Vaishak are lunisolar, or are based on lunisolar considerations, whereas Madhu Madhav are based on seasonal considerations. Seasons are decided by tropical aspect.
by
But
sun.
both of them still correlate because we have the concept of Adhik Mas. So within 5 years, because of the Adhik Mas coming. Now, Adhik Mas is actually put in the time period when there is no transition of zodiac sign. That is, there is no Sankranti between between two Amantas, or between two Amavasyas. It is then that you add a Adhik Mas. So because of adding the Adhik Mas, the seasonal months also are very closely related to the sidereal months. Don't worry if it'll take some time to understand. It's not that easy also.
Yes,
Just to give
sure.
you an idea that the Bhagavat is using all these technical terms without being too specific, because there are two reasons. One is it is addressing a wider audience. Second also is because the Bhagavat is being spoken in front of all rishis. It is supposed to be known that they are well conversant with these aspects. So it need not be specified, because it is not an astronomical presentation there.
Yeah, this point was very good, promise appealing. Like it is adding with a storyline and explaining these things. So this
Exactly.
is
And
actually
at the same time, he's being very eloquent. He is not being repetitive at all, because the Bhagavad has to be spoken in 7 days. This is just forming a part. He's being very
oh,
eloquent in his presentation. Like even while defining the Ghatika Patra, that is 3.11.9, uh, he's actually giving a measure of a Ghatika Patra. And you can empirically verify. But you can empirically verify using that same one verse, that it defines 24 minutes also, and it defines 30 minutes also. So the primary interpretation of the words will give you one understanding. The secondary interpretation of the words will give you a secondary understanding. So by using just one verse, he is defining that the Ghatika means 30 minutes also, and the Ghatika means 24 minutes also. And when it means 30 minutes and when it means 24 minutes is also defined by the flow of the verses. So
yes,
that
sir.
is the eloquence of Shukdev Goswami. That's why I wrote in the beginning also that one aspect is to also understand that how beautifully Shukdev Goswami is rendering this without being repetitive, being very eloquent, and at the same time presenting in such a way that a wider audience can understand.
Yeah, only one thing is happening is our faith on Sukdev Goswami and Prabhupada and Acharyas is increasing.
That is the whole
That
objective also, honestly.
That's the
even
point
the
I just wanted to. Yeah, sorry for interrupting, Prabhu. This is one thing which I wanted you to just touch upon just for a minute. Because one thing in this whole exercise, I have seen Premaran Prabhu doing this for many years now. Uh, I've been, I mean, I speak Bhagavatam a lot, but the kind of trust that he has on Bhagavatam and the words written by the Acharyas is unflinching, that they cannot be wrong. It has to be correct. It has to be, correct. They cannot make a mistake here. How did you, how did you develop that faith, and how you got the reciprocation, Prabhu, for that? Can you please share just a few minutes, if you don't mind?
No, I think everybody has that faith. It's only a question of building on the faith. And honestly, that does come with association of devotees like yourself, and also serving the advanced devotees. Of course, I mean, there is nothing hidden in that. The Gaudiya Siddhant is based on these three aspects of Nam Seva, Vaishnav Seva, and Jeev Daya. There is nothing outside that. And I think Prabhupada has given that as a society, And at the same time, he has given that in his book. So both of these aspects complement very well. There is nothing outside that.
Who is there some reciprocation when everyone, the whole world said no, it could be allegorical or no, not literal, and you did something, and then you could see that exactly. Of course, you did give the example of the Katika. I mean, those of you who were there for the third canto, in the third canto, 11th chapter, we did discuss about the, the Katika experiment. When it is, when that pot is copper pot is bored with a golden needle of so much length and density and all those things. Prabhuji literally designed it and calculated it. Prabhuji, can you please just 1 minute? Can you please tell
Yeah,
about that?
I designed it. I actually got it manufactured, and it has not been done for at least the last recorded 100 years in the academia. In fact, what has been documented is that these measures are just indicative, and probably they don't even have any value. So basically, when I presented this paper in the academia, it has been 2 years that I've been fighting on it, and people have nothing to say. But just to the only challenge they're able to throw is that you are referring to a Purana, and why you should refer to a Purana. That is their first argument. Secondly, is probably you got it right because you have reverse engineered the whole thing. Even statistically, if you see the probability of reverse engineering, it is, of the order of 10 raised to 5. So it's a literal impossibility to do that with so many parameters involved. And they know that because the Siddhanta Shastras are very clear, they only mention Ghatika as 24 minutes. It is only the Bhagavad that says two values, 30 minutes and 24 minutes. Because the Siddhanta Shastras definitely are using a cyclical system. The Bhagavad is using both systems. And that is a very difficult challenge for the academia to accept. So though I've done it and it's been years, the only objection that they have been doing that why are you referring to a Purana? And very strange because their allegation is the Puranas are their authors are unknown. It is undated. It is not the scientific exposition. Uh, and my point is, you are saying that you accept the Siddhantas. The Siddhantas also are with the same two faults that they cannot be definitely defined who the authors are, and they cannot be definitely dated. It's the same allegation that you are putting on the Puranas. So when these two common faults, what is your problem with the Puranas? So yes, in academia, it has been documented for 100 years that no one has actually tried it. And it was not easy. It was easy and at the same time not easy. It was okay. If you really want to understand what is Krishna's reciprocation, I can give you just a small example. I made some calculations for the Katika, and to manufacture would have been difficult. So I thought, okay, let us just take, Gangal actually closely. Gangal is a type of decorative copper vase that is used for in many hotels and even for Bishek of small Utsav deities. So they are readily available. So, I said, okay, I can take something which is readily available to the nearest dimension and then actually try to bring it as close as possible and see how the Katika sinks in the water. Now, interestingly, the calculations that I made, I was not getting a patra close to that. So I got a patra which was twice the size, and somehow things were not working. And I was confused where I went wrong. So I actually had to recalculate everything. And then I realized that the calculations that I made actually are exactly to the, very close, if not exact, nearly about 97% close to the Ghatika Patra that are actually bought from the shop. And I was really amazed, how Krishna actually inspired me to do it. And it actually sunk in the right time. Uh, and then I zeroed down on the as far as possible on the calculations, and then had a die made, and then manufactured one using a spinning method on the lathe. Because with the press it was not working, and I was not getting a person who can actually hammer the copper as it was traditionally made to the dimensions specified. So yes, Krishna reciprocates in amazing ways. I'm just giving you a small example.
Yeah. Roji, we have 2 more hands. What should we do?
Yeah, I can just take 2 minutes more and then I have to really close.
Yes. Radha Pramod, can we move on to Keshav Premataji?
Yeah, we will, because if Prabhuji comes again, then I can continue.
Yeah. Yes, Keshav Premataji.
Vaishnav Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranams. Thank you so much for this presentation, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one small question only I have. You presented all these things geocentric, Prabhuji, but at present, scientists are following on heliocentric theory, and you're worked a lot to present it with precision also, Prabhuji. So, can this be discussed with scientists to change the theory, because that makes a lot, no, Prabhuji, like many people may get faith in our, especially.
Okay, so since you have asked the question, I will answer in different way. 2 ways. One is across all religions, interestingly, the model that is present is geocentric. So even Abrahamic religions and religions outside the Abrahamic scope, all of them present a geocentric model. So this is one thing common across all religious texts. They present a geocentric model. Secondly, as far as scientific terms are concerned, it really does not make a difference. You either use a geocentric coordinate system or you use a heliocentric coordinate system. Finally, it is just question of relativity. So even many satellites that are launched using geocentric coordinates. They do not use heliocentric coordinates because conversions are a bit difficult and it's easier to use geocentric coordinates. So in terms of a coordinate system, they are interchangeable. In terms of the factual aspect being geocentric or heliocentric, that's a debatable thing. But in terms of a coordinate system, it does not make a difference. So what I am trying to emphasize is it's using a geocentric coordinate system. That's all I'm saying. I'm not even trying to go into the realm of it being geocentric or heliocentric. Because my presentation is emphasizing on mathematics. It's not emphasizing on physics. Physics is totally a different domain. So if I enter the domain of physics, that is going to be a very vast scope. So what we are only trying to do is mathematically prove that whatever coordinate systems that Sukhdev Goswami is bringing out can easily make an observational chart, which is as good as what the modern parameters give us. That's all I'm trying to say.
But we
So it really
explain,
does. Yeah.
We explained here the sun is moving around the Manaswatra, around the earth only. That is how you showed the slide.
Yes. So because it's a geocentric system. So the earth is stationary and the sun is moving. The system, try to understand, the coordinate system is geocentric. I'm not saying that we are heliocentric or geocentric. I'm saying the system that is being used is geocentric.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Shyam Sundaranand Prabhu.
Dandavad Pranam, Prabhuji. Dandavad
Yes,
Pranam.
Dandavad.
Thank you very much. Seeing you after so many days. Prabhu, I'm just, it may be foolish and to ask this question. I'm just not able to visualize how Priyavrat Maharaj is trying to follow the movements of the sun. Like, is he going behind the sun or what is this?
Yes, he's going behind the sun by 180 degrees. So as soon as there is sunset at a particular position, Priyavrat Maharaj's sun rises.
Yeah, I mean that 180 degrees I'm not able to visualize. What is that 180 degrees?
So it is lagging behind the sun by 180 degrees.
I can imagine a person like the sun who is having sitting in the chariot, and is it like Priyavrat Maharaj is just behind the sun?
By 180 degrees. So if the zodiac is 360 degrees, so if you're taking north, east, west, so you have you have Vibhavari, Samyani, Neemlochini, and all these defined there. So these are the cardinal points.
Okay.
right? So if it is at one cardinal point, it is exactly at the opposite cardinal point.
Okay, if the sun is in the north per se, he is in the south.
Yes.
Okay,
I get it.
opposite. Means he
Exactly.
is still following the sun, but he is on
Exactly.
the opposite end of the
Exactly.
circle.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what
Yes.
even the acharyas clarify in their commentaries.
Okay. Thank you. So I have so many, but now not. We have that. Okay. I'll ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Balaram Shakti Prabhu, I'll have to leave.
Yes. Thank you, bro. Prabhuji, one small thing. Tomorrow, if looks like there are many unanswered questions. Would you have time tomorrow, or maybe some other time at your convenient time? Would you like to come?
I'm not sure how much I can answer without actually going to details now.
So should we wait till we reach the cosmology section in the 16th
Yes,
chapter?
I think that will be better. I think probably till the 21st chapter at least.
Okay, fine.
Yes, and
Prabhuji,
then we
thank
can
you
take
very
it.
much, Prabhu. Very
Yes.
grateful. Very grateful, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving this opportunity.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Dandavat pranam. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vaishnavas. Hare
Hare
Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaya vacha patitanam
Krishna. Vaishnava.
Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, Prabhu. Radha Prabhu, I took extra time. I'm going to now immediately